All right, part two. There we go with part two. What are we going to talk about? Deal flow, venture capital, alternatives to venture capital. Speaking of venture capital, we do a lot with Mission Ventures. Leo Spiegel, former CEO of Sandpiper, the biggest deal ever in Southern California. He was a dinner speaker about 4 years ago when he offered us this feedback. And it's a challenge, right? It's a classic angel investor challenge. We have to predict what he'll want to pay 1 or 2 years from now when he looks at our deals. Huh? Well, let's talk about deal flow and what we pay. I kind of divide the world into two parts. Talking about deal flow anyway, when you operate in a smaller city like Tucson with the Desert Angels, you see fewer good deals. It's just the geography is smaller, right? Angels in Halifax, Nova Scotia compensate for this by having quarterly meetings. And in between meetings, they work to polish and rehearse the entrepreneurs. Good things come from this extra effort, even though it's a smaller environment. The entrepreneurs appreciate the extra attention and recommend the group to others. That yields good PR for the group. And the members feel like they're seeing lots of good deals. Member satisfaction. Big cities have a different problem. I call it drinking from a fire hose. And that's us, huh? Places like Los Angeles, the Bay Area, New York City, right? 400 applicants a year. Am I close, Kim? Something like that? That's what we've historically run. So, how can you do it? You can't spend the time with the applicants, right? Do little, if any, work to prepare them prior to exposing them to our members. Perhaps this is, editorializing now. Is this an opportunity for Tech Coast Angels? Perhaps, huh? What do our members say? I've heard it, you've heard it too. We're not seeing any good deals. I don't know. Spending more time with the entrepreneurs as they approach might be an opportunity. But whatever our deal flow is, you need a way to track it. And most angel groups in the world use AngelSoft. We don't, but I thought it's part of education. You're not going to find out about this at Tech Coast Angels. Over 450 angel groups around the world use AngelSoft for their back office. You hear me talk about it on the podcast. They're a sponsor. But not here, or should I say not invented here. Is it a good fit for us? Yes and no. TCA would, probably realize many benefits adopting AngelSoft, especially syndicating with other angel groups. That's how they do it in the Northwest, the Northeast. They pass deals around with the push of a button. Maybe someday one of you will be chairman and have a chance to make this happen. But speaking of syndication or co-investing, at MIT they have a theory, a game theory. That would be my friend James Geschweiler. Well, this is his theory on game theory applied to angel investing, huh? There's a corollary, and maybe I should have put this on the screen. If I show you good deals, you'll eventually trust me. Maybe I should switch those. I don't know. Next group. So co-investing, it's a big deal with Angel Capital Association. They created an initiative. I'm a member of this committee. And, it's all about how do you promote co-investing. What's good about co-investing is, especially with the downturn in the economy perhaps, it's been harder for any one angel group to, fill up the round. So here's an example specific. Common Angels in Boston now growing raises from what was $500,000 to now syndicating across New England. They're often doing $2 million raises. So there's extra effort to make that happen. Here at Tech Coast Angels, of course, we syndicate within our 5 networks, right? So we kind of take that for granted. Often with Pasadena Angels Life Science and Allilic, Steve Block, many of you, as I listen, your tenure with Tech Coast Angels is prior to or after this huge deal, Allilic. Steve Block led the deal, raised $3.4 million from Pasadena Life Science, Bluegrass Angels in Kentucky, and venture capital folks in London. Only $1 million of that was venture capital. Today, it's harder to attract venture capital to early stage. Of course, exceptions to everything. But here's Chris Shipley. We all know Chris from Demo, the annual conference. And that's her mantra, huh? Revenue, the new venture capital, which is all about, basically, I guess the message is bootstrapping. I bootstrapped my company because I had no venture capital, no startup funds at all. You know, I often say when I'm speaking at UCI, I was too stupid to figure it out. I had no idea how to raise that. I remember one opportunity to raise some money for the company, and so I assume there must have been more than one, but oh boy, can you imagine? I had no idea what I was doing. That meeting did not go well. But at the end of the day, I had a hot product. My Wall Street clients were willing to pay for it up front. They eventually started licensing whole firms, would just take the fee and spread it out over 12 months, and I'd often, be nailing down these Wall Street firms $100,000 a month. So that was how I bootstrapped. It's not, maybe you'd say it's not so easy today to find opportunities like that. And the deals that you work with are going to need some kind of venture capital. Here across Southern California, I've often heard it said about 40 across Southern California compared to 400 in the Valley. I've done interviews with many of the with all of these venture capital firms here. Relationships, I often hear, are cooperative across Southern California with venture capital in an environment where you've got 400 VC firms more competitive. So that's a nice quality. We do deals with VCs in Silicon Valley too, like Garage Ventures. Bill's been a frequent guest on my show. I've got a little family connection, Bill Reichert. And Bill's the less famous of the two, Guy Kawasaki and Bill being the partners of Garage Ventures. And this is what he says venture capital does to small companies. Investing large amounts into startups, even before their models are proven, is like strapping a rocket onto a small company. Well, he chose that metaphor for a reason. They're often, that can be very dangerous with lots of casualties. What else do we know about venture capital? Well, the funds are getting bigger. I heard perhaps a year ago, average fund, $300 million, which means they must make larger investments. It's hard to do this with seed and early stage deals. The little companies just can't absorb, that kind of money. And the firms, don't have infinite number of partners to manage all these. They're looking to do bigger deals. And I guess my point is VCs will break many good companies in their pursuit of, the kind of exits they need, which are, billion-dollar exits. Oftentimes, as we've seen in some cases, like the next IPO, the Green Dot IPO, big success. The next IPO, Trius Therapeutics, less so, tremendous dilution for the early stage investors, right? And it takes years and years and years. Who asked me? Rick asked me, you're going to talk about the 9 years to exit that it takes. Hell, yeah. It takes that long many times to create a billion-dollar exit, and that's what venture capital needs. It's what John Houston, past chairman of Angel Capital Association, calls his grandkids' company. Right? And I guess what he's implying there, he's not going to live long enough to see some of these exits. And he's not the only one thinking this way. Here's NVCA. Liquidity used to be 2.6 years, today 8.6 years. So I guess I'm making my point here. But last thought on this is, what does this do to angels? Well, many of us think of when you sit in this room at Orange County Screening, you're sitting around the table we still have several of the original founders sitting in the screening room. They weren't spring chickens when they started Tech Coast Angels. And we grow old, right? Because VCs need big exits, 500 million and larger. That can take 7, 8, 9 years like Green Dot did, right? Not good for many entrepreneurs either, because VCs will break them along the way, and bad luck can happen along the way, right? We talk about black swans. The Gulf oil spill has affected one of my portfolio companies that's been doing very well for many years. Who would have thunk that, huh? That's terrible. So time doesn't always work in our favor.